We appreciate it. But I want to bring on a man who has been, this term gets used a lot, but I would say nothing short of transformational for his institution over a number of years, but primarily these last just over 2 years since he's become president. He has Dr. Anthony J. Davis has really taken the helm over at Livingstone College, the birthplace of Black college football, and really just made waves from day one, being involved in the community. And unless you've been under an HBCU rock, um, unless you've been under an HBCU rock, you would know that this year they have consistently just had a great relationship with an anonymous donor who chooses to remain anonymous, who continues to help them to build up on some things that they've been wanting to do for a long time. So without any further ado, let me stop rambling. Let me bring the man on you want to see, Dr. Anthony J. Davis, the 13th president of Livingstone College.
Hey, good evening. Glad to be here tonight.
Good. We appreciate you for joining us.
Well, when you guys sent out the invite, I was doing the happy dance. My hands across. I'm doing all those things. Looking forward to another win this weekend. I'm sorry.
So we're just gonna start off like this, huh? We're just gonna start off like this, as you should be. We're gonna talk about a number of things, but first off, we will acknowledge Livingstone College is 5-2. The last time that they were 5-2, I believe I went back. It was 2014. 2014. So it's been a decade. And you guys are in the thick of the hunt for the CIAA championship, coming off a big win over Fayetteville State. You guys are feeling pretty good over there in Salisbury right now, I imagine.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good, but we're not overconfident. That's why you play the game every Saturday between those white lines, because, again, everybody can fight till the fight starts. You got to play the game. I think they picked Livingstone to finish 9th in the CIAA. I think that we're showing the entire CIAA family that was a miscalculation, and I'm glad about it.
Yeah, well, think about those predictions, man. They'll either make you look like a genius, but most of the time they make you look like Boo Boo the Fool. And you guys are defying the odds. Kris, I'll let you chime in, and then we'll talk a little bit.
I can't really peg where Livingstone can be from week to week. It's just so scary. But I think that's a testament. I know the coaching staff has been very high on their hopes for this season, and that's really panning out very well. My question is more about Livingstone and where they're headed as a university, and I'm kind of curious as to some of the initiatives that you're trying to implement as you look to move Livingstone forward.
Okay, so when you think about Livingstone College, we are embarking upon something that we're calling the Miracle on Monroe Street. The Miracle on Monroe Street is broadly more than brick and mortar. The Miracle on Monroe Street, yes, we're rehabilitating, $50 million of campus construction is going on right now on the campus of Livingstone College, where we're refurbishing 5 residence halls. I mean, what we've done is gone through and we're totally gutting them out to a shell. So our students will have 5 new residence halls. In addition to 5 new residence halls, we're building out a brand new cafeteria, taking care of our infrastructure, particularly as it relates to where students eat and sleep. But when you think about HBCUs in North Carolina, Livingstone College, we're one of the fastest growing. I believe that it was North Carolina Central was celebrated this year for having the largest growth in the North Carolina system with 8% growth. But Livingstone College, we had 11% growth this year as it relates to our enrollment. When we talk about who is coming to Livingstone College now, this year we had the top academic class in our history. Not only did we bring in 441 freshmen and new students, the average GPA of this class was 3.26. So we are a different institution going after those academically talented and gifted students, and many of them are student athletes as well. So this is the new Livingstone. We have right now, for the last 2 years that I've been president, a 78% retention rate and a 76% persistence rate. That is why we ran out of housing for men this year. We're one of the few HBCUs that can celebrate the fact that we have more men on our campus than women, and we ran out of housing for men this year. So that's the new Livingstone. That's our story.
Wow. I'm sorry, Kris. Were you going to follow up with that? Did you have? Okay. Yeah. No. That's. I mean, those are great statistics, and shout out to everybody who's in the chat. Who's yeah. One of our long time guys there, Blue Jacket. Yeah. No, I think that's great. I think it's a very interesting point that you bring up about the number of black men that are in your institution. Obviously, higher education in general is skewed towards women, but especially in the African American community and in HBCUs. Obviously, it's important to educate all of our young people, but how for you as a black man, how good does it feel that you guys are, being able to draw in black men and being able to influence the next generation?
It's refreshing because despite the narrative that you see and hear, all young black males are not on the 6 and 11 o'clock, the 6, 10, and 11 o'clock news committing crimes, that I could walk across my campus and I can see young men who are in college handling their business. Many of them are academic scholars. I mean, in this incoming class that I had 180 young men and women who came into Livingstone College with a GPA of 3.0 to 4.0. Many of them were men, young men who were looking for an opportunity. We had some young men who had the opportunity to come to Livingstone College with an athletic or an academic scholarship. They chose to focus on their academics. And so it's refreshing, and I'm excited about what's happening on our campus.
Yeah, that's great points there. And I would also say too, when we talk about this, I know when you were kind of a couple weeks into the job when we first had a conversation a couple years ago, and I asked you, what role did you see athletics playing in your institution? Now, 2 years later, how has it fulfilled what you thought it would be, or maybe even exceeded it based off of some of the successes you had? I mean, we hear about football, but you guys also traditionally very good in golf and a couple other sports as well. So how does athletics, for you as the head of an institution, how does that play in for you?
Wow, that's a great question. When I interviewed for the job, one of the things that they talked to me about, I told them that I would have a 5-pillar strategy. I took a look at the challenges that a small private HBCU like Livingstone College, but specifically Livingstone College was facing. Low enrollment, crumbling infrastructure, lack of adequate resources. And I said that I would deploy a 5-pillar strategy to not only protect us, but propel us into the future. So the statistics that you heard me articulate earlier was really just our report card on how we've leveraged that 5-pillar strategy and how it's working. Athletics is critical to that because that helps fund our economic model. Not because we have all these revenue generating sports and the sports are generating revenue, but it helps us with the other big E word called enrollment. We're able to enroll academically talented and gifted students who happen to also be student athletes. And we're able to get in there. 350 of my 900 students, more than a third of my students are student athletes. And so athletics is critical to the economic engine of Livingstone College. And so when you think about our programs, for me, it's not winning all the time, but putting a competitive product on the field or on the court. No one talks about, well, they do talk about it, but they fail to mention sometimes our golf team who is always in the thick of the regional hunt. And this year, when we look at football, we surprised a lot of people because you have to play that game on Saturday, and we're making some people in the CIAA take notice.
No doubt. Kris, do you want to follow up?
Well, I was just kind of wondering, as Livingstone is looking, is growing and things like that. One of the things that we've seen from other schools in the CAA is graduate programs, and I was kind of wondering how does that fit into the Livingstone vision that you have?
Well, we do have a graduate program. We launched our first graduate program. Under my tenure, we launched the MBA program. We graduated the first class last year, and we're looking to continue to expand that. We're looking at other degree programs to add on the grad side of our offerings, but we're being very, very strategic because for us, we have to make sure that when we add programs, that they're how should I say this? When we add programs, we have to make sure that it's not a revenue drain on the institution, but instead a revenue generator. So we have to really think about that. One of the last things that I want to do is move into an accrediting cycle, right? Because we just had 10 years of accreditation. We're going into our fifth year cycle. I don't want to take us into a fifth year cycle with the engine light flashing. So it's very, very strategic on what programs we need to bring on, what programs, because when you bring on programs, you have to think about the number of faculty that you need, and these programs have to support and sustain themselves. So we're taking a deep dive into what comes next in the future of Livingstone College, particularly as it relates to grad schools.
Okay, great stuff there. Kris is the scholar here. He's working on that PhD. He'll be joining you as a doctor at some point soon.
Great.
So I'm the flunky of the group here. Just thank you, Laudy. No, but we So yeah, again, Livingstone College football 5-2, and the fifth win that you guys got yesterday last week was a big one. You guys took down Fayetteville State, who for the past couple of years, they've been going to the championship game. They got one championship. As I said in the intro, they're never sexy, but they win. Last week, there was no win. Livingstone College beat them. I think that was the first time in nearly a decade, and only the second time this century.
Nice.
How did it? I know. How did it feel for you taking on? How do you feel taking on these state institutions who they've got a little influx of cash from the state recently too? How did it feel for you? Talk about that.
Man. Well, for me, I always spoke my chest out when we beat one of the state schools because a lot of people don't understand. It's like David going against Goliath, right? Because when we think about sports betting, and I've been pushing this narrative on Jones Street in Raleigh, that they need to include the private HBCUs in the sports betting bill as well. All of the public HBCUs receive $1 million every year from the sports betting bill, restricted to athletics. So when you think about a Livingstone going against an Elizabeth City, going against a Winston-Salem State, going against a Fayetteville State, we're going into that battle like David going against Goliath. We're going in with minimal resources when someone can give you a blank check, taxpayers' money, right, from the sports betting bill. It said, hey, restricted to athletics. That's going to help you with your facilities. That's going to help you with equipment. That's going to help you with scholarships, other resources. And so we actually start that fight behind because they're not giving the private HBCUs $1 million. We have to get out and grind for it or find creative ways to put a competitive product on the field or on the court. The fact that we're 5-2 and beat some of our state programs that had that $1 million blank check, I'm doing the happy dance on Monroe Street.
I'm not gonna lie. I heard you had a good joke. About it. If you want to repeat it, I'm gonna let you repeat it. But I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty funny.
Oh man, you don't want me to say it on national radio, right?
I got you.
Everybody knows I'm an ultimate trash talker, right? I talk trash because when I lose, they talk trash to me. So when I win, one of the things I said, man, with a blank check for $1 million and you still can't beat us, man. That's all I said. That was all I said. That's all I said. Man.
I got you. Yeah. Speaking of trash talk, I have to ask. The CIAA, I know the presidents and the CIAA, obviously the oldest league for HBCUs, and I happen to know some of the presidents, and I know that a lot of them are pretty big on sports. Who you said, and they talk junk to you. Who's giving it to you the worst when they've beaten you?
Ooh, you know what? Everyone's been cordial. I can't say no one's giving.
That's
it
a
to
good
you.
answer.
Because
I think I know the real answer, but that's a good answer.
Everyone has been cordial. Everyone has been polite, and I've been polite as well. I have not rubbed it in. I've not called Chancellor Allison. I've not called my sister at Elizabeth City, because at the end of the day, we're all in this thing together. We may joke, but guess what? We're HBCU strong. Because when one of us hurt, we all hurt, and when one of us succeed, we really all need to celebrate that. I just believe that, because we do so much for the entire country, and I say this all the time on my campus: they need to put some respect on our name, because if it were not for HBCUs, when we talk about this "Make America Great Again" culture that we're in, America would not be great if it were not for HBCUs. So we must never let anybody forget that. If America is great, it's great because of the contribution of HBCUs. We represent 3% of all colleges and universities in this country. But think about STEM alone. We produce 24 of the graduates in STEM who are African Americans. We couldn't go to Mars, and we couldn't be competitive in this global marketplace if it were not for HBCUs. So I want to make sure I shout out all of the HBCUs who bring their highest and best every day.
And Kris, do you have another one? Or?
Well, I'm just interested about the blue field and how you feel about that blue field, because I love it. I think it's beautiful.
It's good. It's good for us. It's good for us when we bring recruits in and they have an opportunity to see this is where you'll play. And that helps us to really showcase some of what our campus has to offer. They like that blue field. We had to get a special permit to put that blue field on our field, on our campus, because there was another college that was not an HBCU, but they had a different color blue, but we had to get permission. Even though our blue is a little lighter, we still had to get permission. But guess what? The blue field is there, and it's one of the nicest stadiums in the entire CIAA, particularly for a private HBCU.
Yeah, you guys actually trailblazers in that first HBCU to get it, and now we see Clark Atlanta has a red field, and Albany State has a blue turf field. So, so again, I appreciate you again. We have Dr. Anthony Davis, the president of Livingstone College. We're gonna so my producer doesn't whack me over the head when he sees me. We're gonna let you go and just respect your time. But I would be amiss if we didn't say you talked about beating state institutions. There are 3 of them in the CIAA. You've beaten Elizabeth City State. You've beaten Fayetteville State, and there's only one left. One you know very well. You guys have Winston-Salem State. I'll be. You got 2 Rams on here. We like to take over stadiums. So So are you ready for a red invasion on the blue field is what I'm going to ask you.
I'm ready. And, they said there's always a ram in the bush, so we're going to keep you in the bush.
Well,
I had that coming. I told you I'm the ultimate trash talker.
Well, before you became president, the last time they had beaten Winston-Salem State, we were in middle school. I mean, Kris and I were in elementary school.
Right.
But you have not. You're 2-0 right now.
Since I've been president, we beat Winston every time. Just
on the football field, yes.
On the football field, that's right. That's right.
On the football
field. In basketball, it's just one of those things. It's one of the best rivalries in the CIAA. That's why the sports betting bill is so problematic, because the best rivalry in the CIAA is Winston-Salem Livingstone, right? Even in football, it's becoming one of the best rivals, and yet the private school can benefit from it. But guess what? We're going to get out and give our highest and best in play and give the fans something to cheer for, and we'll see at the end of the game who's raising up that victory symbol.
Yeah, you know, so you just admitted that we're a bigger rival than Johnson C. Smith. Just so you know, you're on the record with that now.
Well, the rival with Johnson C. Smith is more symbolic, right? Because it's the birth of black college football. Black college football would not be where it is today if it were not for that first game played on our lawn in 1892. And it gave birth to so much more. Everyone wants to know who won that game, but really it's the universe won. Why? Because it really showcased what self-reliance and determination was all about. Because the two schools didn't have money, so they pooled their resources, worked together to buy the football. No uniforms. The industrial arts classes from both schools made the uniform, and the men just drove iron nails in their shoes so they could have cleats to play the game. So just think about that self-reliance and determination. That's what that game that we will play this year is all about. And hey, I want them to keep winning, and I want Livingstone to keep winning, but they have a collision course. They're on a collision course with those Bears, and they've got to come to Salisbury.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
All right. There we go. Well, Dr. Davis, we appreciate you for giving us your time. I know you last week was a whirlwind with Stone Coming 2024. So, you know, look forward to seeing what you guys are going to be doing. I'll say good luck this week. Good luck.
All right. I'll say good luck, and I'll make sure that you have your press pass so I can shake your hand when it's all over.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well,